Good afternoon, guys. Stay Weird 1993 here, or Stay Weird 1993 Vlogs if you know me off YouTube. Welcome back to the stream, or welcome back to my channel, wherever you're viewing this and whatever time of day. So I hope you're all doing good. I don't even remember what day of isolation I'm on. The days are all blending together to the point where I'm pretty sure time's not real. So let's get started. This isn't. I'm not day drinking again. This is actual Monster Energy because I have children, okay? I need caffeine, and this, even though this melts my insides, it makes my insides feel better. It makes my emotions feel better. Okay, so we're back on our warrior. No, we're not on our warrior. I am lying to you. I am back on my hunter, my Maghar hunter.
Something special.
So let's just jump back in what we were doing. So let's have a look at our suggested content, because I want to do some interesting zones, but I'm thinking, shall we do Fellwood? I'm thinking we do Fellwood and Winter Spring. Yeah. I want to do some different questing zones. So I'm thinking just for this one, because we're going to be hitting the Burning Crusade level pretty soon, I've got to plan out where we're going to go. And since we're in Kalimdor, there's no point going to the Eastern Kingdoms, because I can do Fellwood, and I'm thinking we do Fellwood, and I'm thinking we do Winter Spring. Those were the first ever zones. I mean, I remember doing, when I first unlocked my Death Knight, I remember the last zone, I think the last, well, I'd already got a max level, but then when I created my second account, because I'd lost my original account details when my Microsoft account got hacked in 2009, so when I had to create a new WoW account a long time ago, and it meant that I had to sort of start again, because I just didn't know what to do. So, effectively, that's just a little story about that. But then, that said, what I did was I remember the second time I leveled a paladin, I hit max on my second ever character. So, I had a paladin, and then the second time I had a paladin, I hit max. I believe it was Winter Spring, or I remember unlocking my Death Knight on Christmas Eve.
Too far away.
At that time, on that particular account, so that will have been after I had to get a new account, because I had to completely get rid of the email address it was associated with, therefore the WoW account no longer existed. That was a long time ago, man. But I remember that Fellwood and it's so I remember doing those zones. I remember all the way back when I was a newbie to this game, and I remember just the nostalgia of these zones is great, and I feel like leveling this hunter in heavily wooded areas is kind of fitting, and given that I want to play this as a Frost Wolf, I feel, again, like Winter Spring is a fitting place, because I don't want to head to Outland until we actually hit level 60. And then, because I'm going to go through the zones in sequential order. I don't want to skip Outland, because I'll be honest, I like Outland. I really enjoy certain areas of Outland, so there's no point skipping content. I mean, I can always, as I say, I don't mind rushing through the content. So I will be going to Northrend, and I will be going to Outland. But Outland first, then we'll do Northrend. Where will I do? I'm thinking again. I know there's a rare hunter pet I can acquire in the Grizzly Hills if we're lucky enough to catch it at spawn. It's Arcturus. It's a ghost bear. I know that because my friend told me, who used to play hunter, and that was what he absolutely adored. That was his go-to pet. So if I can get a hold of an Arcturus, that'd be awesome. So I definitely need to pay a trip to Grizzly Hills on the leveling. Sometimes, again, I am one of those people, I just stop and look at this zone because this brings back so many memories. And the music as well, man. Blizzard did such a good job with these zones. I mean, to be fair, I don't think Blizzard have made a bad zone, as it were. It's just, I have lesser favourites. I don't enjoy Tanaris. And I don't... But I do enjoy, like, Desolus, Feralis, Silithus, Fellwood, Winterspring. I think my favourite classic zones are Searing Gorge, Burning Steppes, Winterspring, Fellwood, and I'm going to say Ashenvale. But I also love the Plaguelands. I couldn't pick a single Plagueland to do. I just think that there's some masterfully done zones in this game that I think are massively underrated. And which is why when I go to Outland, rather than going through the Zangam Marsh, I want to go through Nagrand because it's got the Magheart Orcs there. I want to do obviously Hellfire Peninsula because that's where you have to start, and then I'm going to do Nagrand. And then if we've got any leveling left, I'm either going to do Shadow Moon or I might do Netherstorm because I've not done Netherstorm for years. Just having a look at what we haven't done. So done that. Just taking off. We haven't done Gnomeregon yet, but I'm gonna be honest. Contrary to what a lot of people, I don't like Gnomeregon. I find it frustrating as all hell. Let's have a look here. So I'm gonna... The only dungeon I'm gonna skip on this is I am going to skip Gnomeregon. Just because, well, gnomes, and also it's a long pain in the ass dungeon. Don't get me wrong, it's fun, but I did Gnomeregon not so long ago when I was leveling Kromgara the warrior. And I found myself just like, why am I doing this? Ah, yeah, we're in Fellwood now.
I am listening.
Yeah, because it's the Emerald Circle, so these are an offshoot of the Cenarian Circle, I believe. So we've got to... Because the Fellwood's where Illidan retrieved some of his demonic power, I believe, back in the Warcraft games. And if I remember rightly, there is a demon hunter in part of the questing here. Like an old school demon hunter. We're not talking like... They didn't update his model with the Illidari, which would have been a nice touch. Let's have a look here. Before we do that, I just want to make sure I've got a Flight Master. Diamol. Now, I do enjoy Diamol. Oh, Christ. I think I might have actually found a use for this the Shadowlands Transmog set that you can acquire. This looks good. It's definitely a caster set. It's going to ignore that because it always tells me to disable my add-ons. Oh. I'm going to dismiss this pet until we get around this corner. I am not confident that we could have done that without pulling it. Yeah, so, friend of mine's saying about the Shadowlands pre-order armor set. Yeah, that is the Vestments of the Eternal Traveller, I believe it's called. I haven't got it because you have to unlock it with a quest, where what you have to do is you get them when you get the edition with the mount. There's an orb on the back, and if you click the mount, it's the Enscorseld Wyvern, or worm or whatever it is. You click that, and it summons a I believe it's a guy called Zurthos or something like that. And he gives you a quest where certain mobs will drop these mortal essences, I believe it is, or something. And if you collect enough of them and hand them back to him, you will give you the transmog set. So it's like, yeah, sure, you get the transmog set, which is great, but they didn't just give it to you. It's like you get the mount, and if you do the quest, you get a really nice transmog out of it. The quest isn't hard, it just takes a while because I believe basically anything can drop it. It's like random world mobs, I believe. Well, that guy sounded all mysterious.
I do not have a target.
It's no, it's really cool because I love that transmog set. I just don't have a practical use for it. I mean, I've seen the weirdest thing I'd ever seen was somebody who used it on a demon hunter. That just did not look right. Like, it looks good on, I imagine, mage and priest. But I just don't think of maybe a holy paladin, or I can definitely imagine with the gold accents you could use pieces of the transmog set for your for a Zandalari or any racial paladin transmog, definitely. I'm just curious to see because we've seen the Covenant armor sets an early preview, but I'm really curious to see once because I know there's another encrypted alpha that's been released for Shadowlands, but it's encrypted. It's not a public alpha yet. So I'm interested to see once there's some data mining that's been done. I'm curious to see what we're going to get out of it. I want to see just little bits because this is the excitement for me. This is when the expansion. Yeah, I've pre-ordered it, but when it becomes more real is when there's a potential for stuff. Once the closed alpha's gone and there's an alpha client that can be accessed. When things get data mined, like just models, even when it's like just something dumb like a weapon, or you see they've revamped a model of like an old. It's like when in Legion though, and they something really dumb, like when they redid the bear models in Legion. Like that was awesome in my opinion. Like that was fun. Like just seeing like the progression into the expansion. I'm also curious to see with the addition of like they said, they're gonna all the base races are gonna have more customization options. We've already seen for the humans that they're giving them like more ethnic races, so you can actually have a human that doesn't look like just a white human with dark skin coloured onto him. It's like they actually have ethnic traits. So, you know, like you can have you want the character to look, if you're a person from like Asian descent and you want to have your character look Asian, you can do that. If you want your character to look, you know, the characters don't just like recoloured white people now. They actually have some variety in what they're doing, which is exciting if you ask me. So they've diversified the races. They've given darker skin tones to the dwarves finally. They've given us a lot really already. So they've given darker skins to the dwarves. You can do wild hammer tattoos on your dwarf. What I'm hoping to see, I mean the undead is cool because you can also have undead without bones exposed. I'm hoping they maybe give us an upright posture for the undead as well. I think that'd be cool. You know, if they're less decayed depending on when they were rezzed. Also, I'm hoping for aspirations. Even though I don't play Night Elf, I would love to see Night Elves be able to put war paint on, or more tribal aesthetics, so piercings or adding feathers into their hair, or like Nathanos Blightcaller. Yeah, so undead would be cool like that, Dark Ranger style, so glowing red eyes. Stuff like that, and obviously during the war campaign we saw that some night elves got raised, and with night elves being raised, I want to see those as a customization because obviously they did rejoin the alliance under Kalia Menethil. However, we what's interesting to us now is whether or not we have a an option to play those undead elves, which would be cool. I also think for the Blood Elves, given if you go back to the Burning Crusade concept art, even on the cover art, they have runic tattoos like over their eyes and stuff like that to enhance their magical abilities. And if you look at the new Lothamar model, I'd love more customization like that. So if I wanted to play an Elven Farstrider with like one blind eye and some runic tattoos, like that would make perfect sense. Or if I wanted to play a Blood Elf Mage with some runic tattoos. But also, given that canonically we have Horde aligned San Lane, so the Darkfallen, it'd be cool to have San Lane options as a customization. For the Worgen, I could see Night Elf Worgen, for example, because the original Worgen were Druid of the Fang, or Druid of the Pack. Sorry, not the Fang. Druid of the Pack, and they were Night Elves that had taken on the form of Godrin. So why not have a Worgen whose human form is a Night Elf and have a slightly more elvish features in the Worgen form? It wouldn't take much customization for them to do that. On top of that, you could add Grim Totem customization for the Tauren. So Grim Totem customization would be cool. So the black skin with the sort of red paint. Yeah, exactly. So it'd be nice to add some more lore with the Worgen. I mean, when they updated the Worgen model, they added a few new faces there, one with some scars and like stuff like that. And they've really done a good job with the updated Worgen models. If they weren't Alliance, I'd be playing them a lot more. I enjoy the Worgen. Also with Draenei as well, I would love to see some customization with them because they're supposed to be these like pure regal Eridar. I'd love to see separation of being able to change the horn style and the hairstyle on a Draenei. Something a bit more akin to the Lightforge, as well as having a glowing Naru rune, which you could customize. You could either have it on there or not. Tail length of the male Draenei would be interesting as well, because and jewelry as well. So the tendrils on the face, adorn it with different jewelry, maybe even give them piercings or stuff like that. It wouldn't be a mismatch for the Eridar canonically to have these things, because they were a higher society before the corruption of the of Sargeras. And also what would be interesting is giving the Draenei a broken customization, because people like Nobudo, all those people, they are part of Draenei society, so a lot of the broken became shamans or warriors rather than paladins and priests. And that adds another interesting dynamic. So if you're on a roleplay server like me, who's to stop me wanting to say I wanted to roll a Draenei shaman, but I want him to be a broken who was a former paladin who, due to the corruption of the Burning Legion, lost his connection to the light and turned to the elements instead. I'd like to see... I mean, we see it a lot in canon. Orcs have things like nose rings, tusk rings, stuff like that. I'd love to see that being added. We've already seen the trolls will be getting Sand Fury trolls, possibly Dark trolls. I'd like to see the Drakari and Gurubashi added to that. I'd like to see them added to it, because it would be interesting to see what the dynamic would be if you add the other trolls. Maybe even the bulkier body for the jungle trolls that you saw in Zul'Gurub and Zul'Farrak, places like that. Yeah, I love the fact that Zandalaris have tunnels too. I've got 36s and I need... that'd be cool. I think regular trolls should be able to have access to that, as well as possibly the orcs, because it wouldn't be outside of their tribalistic culture to have that, surely. And I'd like to see more tattoo modification for the orcs, i.e. Garrosh had his lower lip tattoo, the War Chief one. 50s, I don't want to. I see. I have this problem with these where I probably do need to size up, but I don't want to because I have all of this jewelry for this size, and I've spent a lot of money on nice stretched jewelry, so I don't want to have to spend it all again to buy a bigger size. But I think that, yeah, so neck stretch, the golden neck pieces for females and Andalari, yeah, I'd love to see the female trolls get and the male trolls get some love in terms of piercings and more tribal jewelry, as should the orcs. I mean, the orcs should be able to have more tattoos, like look at Garrosh. I mean, look at the Magha. I mean, if you look at the arms on this guy, you can see I've got the sort of tribal style tattoos on this guy. And the orcs, you know, they did tattoo their bodies and pierce themselves. You can see it, like, when you look at any high-resolution orcs, some of them have, like, tattoos and stuff like that. And also, I think that looking at the orcs, for example, if you play, one of the Magha skins has war paint. I think war paint should be an option for your orc as well, because, I mean, even Sourfang had war paint. And I think it'd be an interesting customization across all orcs. In terms of what would I add to the gnomes, I don't play a gnome, so I don't know or care. But maybe more crazy hairdos, maybe some interesting stuff about the. Well, you can't make them have mechanical parts because you've already got the mechanomes to fill that part. Maybe. Maybe give them more options for that.
I need to target something first.
I think that basically any race that should be capable of having body piercings to some degree, and any races with a tribal culture should be able to have markings. Like, so the Night Elf should be able to have different facial markings on the males, and tribal tattoos based on orcish clans. Even the Greenskins did have tribal tattoos prior to their corruption anyway, so why would it make a difference? Like, it didn't erase them. If you know, that's some special demon juice.
I require a target.
But then it's like, what else would I do? I'm just thinking out loud here about the customization, because there could be some really fascinating options here. So things like you know, hair, longer hair, and maybe like more facial hair options for races. Like, why can't a blood elf have a beard? Let's be honest. Why can't a night elf have a long beard? Or why can't we adjust that? And also, the night elves, lore-wise, have different eye colors. So the ones with druidic tendencies tended to have the golden eyes, whereas most night elves would have had the silver eyes. So only those gifted with what was seen as druidic potential would have had golden eyes from a lore standpoint. So we're giving them the black eyes for the Army of the Black Moon. Give them silver eyes as well. Give the females gold eyes. You should be able to do that, because what if a female night elf druid has silver eyes? It's not law breaking, but it theoretically, if they'd had druidic potential, would they not have had the same sign? There's nothing in the law that says they wouldn't. Personally, for me, the one thing I would love to see is, again, Sand Lane. Sand Lane customization for either the Forsaken or the Blood Elves. Give me my Nightfall and Death Knight, please. Sand Lane, Blood Death Knight, that's all I want. I can literally play a Vampire Death Knight, which is just a vampire with a really big fucking sword. Because, I mean, the Blood Death Knight's based off vampires anyway. I was just gonna mash disengage Sean Connery. Give me dual pistols for a hunter and let me recreate Vincent from Final Fantasy VII. Yeah? I like the bow and arrow myself, but why not? Why not have a gunslinger? Like, if you're playing a hunter, if you're playing marksman, and you want to play the dual pistols as an aesthetic choice, why not? I can't see a reason why you wouldn't, or why you couldn't do that. That'd be quite cool. In the same way that I think you should, there should be the allied races with their heritage. I think heritage armor set. I want to see what comes next, but I think heritage armor there should be heritage weapons too. Dual crossbows like Diablo 3. Oh, the demon hunters, yeah. I think that it'd be cool to see heritage weaponry as well, or like just maybe one of every different kind of weapon could be made to so for example, I don't know, the Blood Elves, so they have their really nice heritage armor, which I have unlocked. The heritage armor, what I like about it is that it looks like a Spellbreaker from the sort of older Warcraft games. Now, that'd have been great if they'd given me the Spellbreaker shield and Spellbreaker kind of Warglaive style dual-ended sword. So if I was playing, say, a Paladin, I could play as a Spellbreaker, or a Warrior, I could play as a Spellbreaker.
I do not have a target.
That's what I would like from that. I'll tell you, the regular dwarves, they had a really nice heritage armor too. I'm curious to see what they do with the other races. So, what's the human heritage armor going to be? We already have the Stormwind Guard armor. Something maybe along the lines of what Varian Rin had. That'd be cool. Maybe something akin to what Anduin's wearing. I think the Forsaken, I mean, their Warfront armor is really nice, but they need their own heritage armor. Maybe something like Nathanos. Or maybe like Sylvanas even. You gotta be I suppose the Orcs could have a heritage armor, like the standard Orcs. A bit like Sourfang's armor. And you could do... The Draenei heritage armor could be like a modification of what you see a lot of the Vindicators wearing, so some kind of Vindicator plate set. Like some cut, so rather than being like the tier set, like just modify it so it looks more like that. I mean, they've done a good job with the other heritage armors. It's just making sure that the flavor is right. If you because you don't want to shoehorn it and go, okay, so this race is defined by this. But then the heritage armor has to be right. You know, at the end of the day, it has to be encapsulating of the culture within that race. And the danger you have, especially with having to make one set of armor, is like with the dwarves, it's a plate armor set. It's great if you play a paladin or warrior or a death knight, but if you're a caster or a shaman, maybe not so much. It's very very Muradin. I suppose you could base the human armor off Arthas or Uther. That would be a good one. And other heritage armors you could be. Maybe I'm thinking that the heritage armors, the reason that they're not coming out all at the same time is it's probably thematically very difficult to work out what the player base of that race would want. Like, for example,
I do not have a target.
I would expect the troll heritage armor to be something like Vol'jin, or I would hope it's something like Vol'jin. Because that's, when I think of a troll, that's the kind of archetypical thing I see. So the Shadow Hunter aesthetic, really. Which would be fascinating. I'd love to see what they've got lined up for this, but also I wonder if we're going to get any more allied races throughout Shadowlands.
I require a target.
I'd like to see the Venthia, who are the race from Revendreth that we've seen. They're kind of Nosferatu-esque vampires. Looks pretty badass, but it's a case of how would you make them an allied race when they're a Shadowlands race that basically it's purgatory for souls that have been prideful or greedy, which I get, but also like it'd be really nice to see, like, because I'd love to play like thematically a vampire in this game, like some kind of like either Sand Lane or the Venthia, because the Venthia are very much like the Sand Lane, so maybe the Sand Lane are just the earthly plains version of the Shadowlands race. Maybe that's where the Sand Lane got their imprint from. The same way that the Kyrians and the Valkyr, I imagine, are related. And the Necro Lords and the Scourge, I imagine that's going to be a massive thing.
I need to target something first.
Like, I'd like to see some interesting lore developments from the Shadowlands perspective. Like, theoretically, a lot of our dead heroes will be in the Shadowlands. So I believe they've already said we'll probably see Kael'thas Sunstrider. As long as it doesn't say that Revendreth is merely a setback, we're all good. And we know that the machinery of death is broken, so all souls are being sent to the Maw instead of to their designated, where they should be going in the afterlife. That's what we know from the trailers. So I'm hoping we see Saurfang. I'm hoping we see some other big lore characters who have died over the last few years when this has all been going on. So we should maybe bump into Varian. I don't think we'll see Garrosh because I don't know where he would tie into this. I'd hopefully, I mean, I would hope he gets a noble one because he did nothing wrong. But it's one of those things where I want to. I'm curious to see what we're gonna get from the Shadowlands and who we're gonna see. Why won't my pet attack? That's a weird glitch.
I require a target.
There we go. My pet just was like, I'd have to tell it to move places even though it was on follow. That was a little strange. Okay, my pet's not doing anything. I'm going to dismiss him. No path available for your pet. Let's just reload. Because that's a little unusual. Dismiss. That's got to be a technical hitch. Yeah, the pet's going now. Good.
Too far away.
That was weird. My pet was just stood by and not attacking. Even though it was not on passive, it was on assist, and it was also on follow, which means it should be following me and attacking when I attack.
I need need to target something first.
It's had enough of my shit. Yeah, probably. It's like, oh no, man, I'm doing most of the DPS here. Get on my level, probably. And we just had a random DPS leave. That's fine. That was weird. This caffeine is giving me life right now. I had a virtual meeting with work this morning because we're just keeping in the loop about the situation, shall I say. We are wanting to just establish, because no one knows what on earth's going on at the moment.
I must get closer.
And it's not a company-wide thing, but they want us to, work from home, which is totally cool. And I'm fine with that. It just means no afternoon stream, unless I do it on my lunch break if I was doing it. But at the moment, it's not feasible to get every single person ready. It's going to be something that's going to take a couple of weeks. But if we do it, that's going to be quite good, because that means that could I theoretically tame this? It's a demon though, so probably not. Can you imagine if I just walk around with this like, hey guys, the giant spooky pet here. Do y'all mind if I? Oh, don't mind him. He just has many eyes. He hungers. I went to Nilotha and Hunter goes to Nilotha, comes back with a ridiculously horrifying pet. It's like, what happened? Forbidden knowledge. So we got to kill Tetheldrin. These guys aren't going to kill Tetheldrin, are they? Maybe they are. So the thing is, we all have a quest for this, and we'll be able to hit 48 just from doing that one dungeon, and then some. If we just kill the last boss, it's not hard. He's not a difficult boss to kill.
What brings you here?
What brings me here? Fat loot. Playing a hunter will finally allow me to live out my fantasy of going feral and just returning to the wild and only being able to speak to animals. Look, that's my backup if the world goes south, and we're on path for it right now. You know, we're on track to where the need to go feral and retreat to the woods and as nature intended might be an option. I mean, if I had the money, all I'd have done during this entire outbreak is I'd have literally jetted off to a remote island where there's just me and maybe a select few other people, and just stay there till it's all over. It's like, what would you do for food? Well, grow my own. Well, what about meat? Well, I'm a vegetarian, so that's not a problem. Every time I hear the word vegetarian, I just think of that stupid song of He's Got Beef, Tell him a vegetarian, I'm not scared of him. Giving me flashbacks to seeing kids and rainbow-studded belts and crying. I mean, not that anything's changed, except I don't wear colours anymore. I'll take that for the haste. amount of times I have been tempted to create a human monk and call it either Dio Brando or JoJo, just as a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure reference. Is that a freaking JoJo reference, guys? That would be so much fun, though. Just literally go through the whole thing monologuing as if you're playing as Dio Brando or something. That'd be fun. To be fair, you make a Blood Elf monk for Dio Brando. We all know that. JoJo, that'd be fun. But that'd be hilarious. But then that's just me. It's like I'm one of those people who I can't honestly say I've sat down and watched anything remotely anime related since I was about 14. But I'll rewatch Dragon Ball with no shame, and I'll rewatch Studio Ghibli with no shame. And then I saw that they put JoJo's Bizarre Adventure on Netflix, and I was like, "Oh boy, here we go." Tokyo Ghoul. You see, I've been told to check Tokyo Ghoul out, but I'm going to be totally honest. I don't know enough about it, and I probably should watch it. I probably would enjoy it. Again, I've not really checked out that scene of things. Like, there was a time in my life where I enjoyed it all that sort of anime and manga very much, but for me, it was like Dragon Ball. It was like Dragon Ball Z, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Digimon. There was one called Monster Rancher, which not many people remember. That was good. Again, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Bleach. I never got into like Naruto or One Piece or anything. I just couldn't get behind it whatsoever. But then that said, I did enjoy Studio Ghibli films, but I don't really consider that like typical because those were just animated films from Japan that were just masterfully created either way. It's nothing to do with the style. I just love the stories that they tell. But yeah, I keep. Oh yeah, Death Note. That was another one I liked. I remember Death Note. But Tokyo Ghoul is something I'll probably check out, to be honest, because I keep getting told to watch it, and I'm like, well, it's not really my thing, but it's got the word ghoul in it, so I've got a feeling it will be, to be honest. Have a look here. So we've got to go back. So return to the... Okay, and then we've got to... I'm going to dismiss this pet. Because I don't want to pull anything in between here and there, if there is anything. I really don't. Whee! So it's one of those things where there's things. I mean, I'm willing to give anything a watch once. To be fair, it's like, but it has to. Are you running? What? There's another quest here. What's this? I already killed Tendrous Warpwood. I'm sure. Yeah. I just missed the quest, didn't I? Am I running BLA? Let's have a look here. Just a second. Let me just reload. All I've got on this character is heirlooms. I've got a couple, so head, shoulders, cloak, back, and legs. BMI, it's, haven't got anything else, really. Wait. No. I was going to look at something here. It kept telling me to look at something. That was it. I want to have a look at sets. I've not really... I've not really had a look at the male set for anything here. So, a lot of these are kilts. I suppose this is because of the shamans, but... Let's see what these are. We're just going to end one part of YouTube here, just because every instance I end the